Hello everyone. Now, as someone who you could say has a bit of an interest in history, I've read a fair share of stories from years gone by, and at this point I'm pretty accustomed to people with weird lives. Or at least that's what I thought until I stumbled upon the tale of John Nichols Tom. Born in Cornwall in 1799, Tom had a rather promising start. He was going to be everyone's favourite, a lawyer, but switched to become a clerk for some wine merchants. And when they left the business, he took charge of the company and expanded it to malting too. He married a woman named Catherine, and if you didn't know that this guy appears on the list of people who have claimed to be Jesus, you'd think he'd have a pretty average life. Well, not so. First off, his old business burnt down when he was 27, and then he was treated for an attack of insanity by a surgeon 3 years later. Surgeons are the best at diagnosing those types of things, of course. Money called, however, and he set sail with his malt to Liverpool, where he wrote to his wife. He then appeared in Birmingham for some reason, and again wrote to his wife, saying that he was off to France. We have no idea what he did for the next year. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's go to Maidstone in Kent and enhance. Enhance. Wait a second. This isn't the past. Well, in ye olde Maidstone prison there is a man who looks astoundingly like Johnny. Let's ask him his name. What's your name, man? Moses Rothschild. I mean, Sir William Courtenay, heir to the Earl of Devon and Knight of Malta. Alrighty then. Upon release, John Nichols, Sir William Courtenay, heir to the Earl of Devon and Knight of Malta, Tom, went to nearby Canterbury, of the Archbishop of Canterbury fame. He gained popularity because of his funny clothes and general sympathy to the working class, much to the elite's chagrin. Then again, I shouldn't think that it helped that he spent his days doing funny anti-authority speeches, but hey, tomato avocado. In fact, he was so popular that local Conservative politicians told him to run as an independent against the Liberals in the upcoming 1832 elections. So, who do you think won? Rumpelstiltskin or this dweeb? The dweeb won. But Tom did well enough, getting over 350 votes, as opposed to both Liberal candidates getting over 800. So the natural evolution of this, of course, is to run in an East Kent election, which Tom did. He only got 3 votes, one of whom was himself. The next year he was called as a witness in a smuggling case, only the problem was that he didn't see anything. Convicted of perjury, he was sentenced to prison for 3 months and was going to be transported to Australia. Luckily, his wife Catherine showed up and ID'd him, at which point he said he didn't know her. Some genius surgeon showed up again and judged him unsound of mind, sending him to an asylum. Well, his dad campaigned hard to get him out, including appealing to Queen Vicky of Billericay. Also, bear in mind that this was the year that she was coronated, so she would have been very young, and I can't imagine she was taught on how to deal with this in royal school. Anyway, he was eventually released in 1837. You'd think that this would be the end of his misadventure, but no. Well, he told everyone that he'd go back to Cornwall with his family, and then just stayed in Kent. Some poor sod called George Francis decided to house Tom, until a couple of months later, when Tom came home one day, literally carrying handfuls of pistols. At this point, Tom had built up a bit of a reputation for the poor, because why wouldn't you want Binky the Clown speaking for you, and just wandered about for a few months, relying on the support of his followers. You can imagine him showing up in the village square and saying something heroic about the oppression of the worker, and then going and sleeping under a hedge. Eventually, a local bigwig called for his arrest for inciting workers to leave their jobs, and this is where it fell apart, or further apart at least. On the 31st of May 1838, the local constable and his brother came looking for Tom to arrest him, so he shot at them. The brother died whilst the constable fled, and of course he was going to gather an army to rain down hell upon John Nichols Tom. But, as the old saying goes, there's no point getting in a fix if you haven't had your Weetabix, so Tom and his gang just went to get breakfast. 100 men under Major Armstrong and Lieutenant Bennett tracked Tom's 30 to 40 men to Bossenden Wood. Thus began the last battle fought on British soil. Tom went right up to Bennett, who told him to surrender in the name of the Queen. Tom shot him in response. Maybe those surgeons were onto something. Now, the problem for Tom was that in his band of merry men, only he and one other guy actually had any guns. The rest just had sticks. This wouldn't have been a problem if it had been like the 12th century, except it wasn't, and the opposing army were armed to the teeth. So, when Tom shot Bennett and the rest of the shooting started, Tom's guys couldn't really do anything but try and deflect the bullets with their sticks. In the end, Tom and 8 other of his chumps were killed. Tom's bullet-ridden body was taken to the local inn, where supposedly over 20,000 people showed up, either for souvenirs, respect, or curiosity. Personally, I wonder if his wife or father showed up, or if they even knew the end of the bizarre tale of John Nichols Tom. There we go. I hope you find comfort in the knowledge that your life will never be as exciting, or weird, or novel, or tragic, or wonderful, or magical, or perfect as that of old Tommy's. Well then.